Thank you all. And I'm bringing greetings, of course, not only from myself, but from this whole community. Ananda Sisi is a rural community. And so we are pretty much exposed to the elements. And at the moment, can you hear me?
Yeah, it could be a little bit louder, maybe. I don't know if
Okay,
you have any control over that, but
I'll just try to speak a little bit louder.
okay.
Okay, so this is a rural community, which means that we are a little bit more exposed to the elements than when you're in a city. And right now it's snowing. You never know how long that will last. And sometimes if it really snows, for a longer period, then we are all basically locked in our houses, which we do not regret. It gives us a break from continuous service. And so we have opened up our guest retreat, trying to stay um, rigorously within the laws, the requirements of the law. And we also have a second temple, the Temple of Joy, that we are still building. But it is far enough now, the construction, that we have been able to use one big hall, which we are using as temple now, but only for the community. So one of the big um, changes that this whole world situation has brought to this place is that we have more community than before. Before it used to be mostly a guest retreat. Now it's more community. We come more together to meditate, and we have online meetings together. And especially when people get sick, and we've had a few people who are sick, we even have a few people who are sick. Everybody's helping, you know. People then really, I don't know if you know Mary Minty. She fell, broke her arm. Another elderly lady who was with us fell. It's a difficult period. I would say a challenging period, but you really discover the power of community because everybody steps in to, the elderly lady needs someone there, and people volunteer and sit by her and clean her house and feed her. And so um, that is actually very touching and also very, very inspiring. And of course, I am praying for Ananda in Texas that you can reach a level. I don't know what the form will be. God will decide, and Master will decide what the form will be. But that you can sort of somehow create together this cooperation, harmony, that makes it possible also for you that you really feel that you're part of a community and that you can help each other when things get difficult, challenging. So that is beautiful. And I wanted to start with that. So I'll speak a little bit about the text of the Sunday service. Um, Actually, here it's 20 minutes to 7 p.m. I see a bright light behind Maitri and Mark. And so it seems that the weather is nice there in Texas, of course, or not so bad. So in any case, and so I heard the same text this morning. I did not go to the Temple of Light where the guests were, but we were with a few people in the Temple of Joy, which is like a few yards distance from the Temple of Light. And so we were following it online, and I was able to do the Touch of Light. And so it was again a community event. And it's a beautiful subject. And since this is a particular format, let's say online, of the Sunday service, I was just thinking to meditate together a little bit on these two sentences, one from Christ, or one from the Bible, I should say, and the other one from Krishna, from the Bhagavad Gita. So the first one says, "In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. So yeah, exactly. There it is. Thank you. So you've all been able to read it. Okay, we can stop the share screen. Thank you. So there is, when I read this, I've been meditating on this sentence for many years. There is a song by Swami, a very, sort of gay kind of song, very cheerful, where it says, you can drive out the darkness with a stick, You can, and so basically he says, the moral of the song is, if you want to get rid of darkness, turn on the light, switch on the light. There was an image that my father mentioned to me, even though again this is so enigmatic, that he was not a religious man, but then he had these deep things that he sometimes shared with me. And he said, this is something that Saint Teresa of Avila said, that when for the soul, when it is in darkness, just the light of one candle is enough. A tiny little light of one candle is enough to bring in the light. But then here it says, it shineth in the darkness, but the darkness comprehended it not. So if I may take the freedom to say a few words about the English language, from what I understand, shineth is an ancient form of shines. So the light shines in the darkness, which means it is, as the grammar says, the present simple. So it always shines. It's always there. It's not now, it's always. It's just there. The light is there for us. And then it says, the darkness comprehended it not. So it seems funny, because first it says you can light a candle, or you switch on the light, you can drive it out with a stick. If you switch on the light, then the darkness is gone. And here it says the light is there, but the darkness comprehended it not. So I had to meditate on that. And then I felt, well, maybe it just means, in this case, light means consciousness. And it's not, and comprehend can mean different words. It could mean, in this case, maybe something even like absorb, or take it on, or understand, or receive, to comprehend, to. So it could mean many different things. But I was thinking here in particular that if the light shines all the time and darkness comprehends it not, then that means that our consciousness, that light is consciousness, and that our consciousness simply is not focused on the light. It is focused on other things. Our energy is drawn into different things. It may be drawn into emotion. It may be drawn into, consciousness, problem consciousness, and just in the senses, which is also more on the surface of our being. And also simply to be more self-centered, ego-centered, where you take on the huge reality around us and we take it personally. And when we take it personally, then the light sort of disappears. It gets out. We don't watch it. We don't see it, because it's bigger than we. And when we take it personally, our consciousness becomes smaller. It sort of contracts. So then what we need to do, and there's one other thing. The text also says, in him there was light, and the light of man, I think it says, in him was life, and the life was the light of man. That's what it says. So we also do that, hopefully regularly, when we energize. What we do is we explore life. We expand our awareness of life from personal and personality oriented and probably need oriented and probably desire oriented and emotion oriented. We expand when we do the energization exercises, we expand that awareness and we explore the bigger light or life that is within us, which is not personal, it is universal. And it becomes the time when we really realize that it is much bigger than our personality, is probably at the time of death, when we have to leave the body. Then we realize that the life that was within us was always much bigger than what we considered to be our life. So our life then is dedicated to connecting our awareness with that greater life, the light within us, the light of man. And how do we do it? How do we do that? Well, there are different ways. And I remember one talk by Swami Kriyananda, where he said, it was one of the older talks. He said, live in the light. You don't need to know everything about the darkness in order to live in the light. In other words, it is always a choice. It doesn't mean that we deny whatever ego-directed or personal directed energy might be blocked within us, or whatever. There may be hurt, or there may be, all sorts of things, worries, anxiety, trauma, whatever it be. It is there. It can be there. You don't need to deny it. You can acknowledge it, and then see ways in which you can sort of withdraw your energy from it and focus on the light. So light, as many of you maybe know, is one of the 8 aspects of higher self, but you can also use it simply as a substitute of consciousness. And so, for example, from my own life, not so long ago, I had a chance to explore the light of peace, or the consciousness of peace. Peace is something that is not given to us. We need to practice it. And so this is the story. I hope I haven't told it to you before. I don't think so, because it was not that long ago. But there are many, this is a beautiful area, and there are many hunters also. So we have a beautiful community with devotees and yogis. We have a very good relationship with our neighbors and generally with the people around here. And there are also hunters, because we have wonderful wildlife. For example, now that it is snowing, we just saw in the field like 4 or 5 little deer who were lying down in the snow. They were enjoying the snow. So beautiful. And there are also these huge boars, very, very big. You don't really want to meet those person to person, face to face, I mean. In any case, so we have a dog, and he's pretty young. And one day a hunter came and he unleashed his 6, 7 dogs. Those are dogs that they use for their hunting. And they came on our land, and our dog charged. Okay, our dog is like a real shepherd. And he charged and he bit one of them. And so the hunter interfered in time, called him back. And then he looked at me and started screaming at me and using a few swear words and cursing. The folklore here is, when you listen to people when they speak amongst each other, there's a lot of cursing. So that didn't surprise me. It's like It's almost like a poetry. They make it long, So in any case, so I was a little bit shaken. I can't say that I was peaceful after that. It sort of, those people with all those dogs and guns or rifles or whatever. So but I considered myself to be a yogi, and I was wrong at that moment, because then I took our dog for a walk, and I was observing my subconscious mind, and I saw there was a hunter hidden in that subconscious mind, or if you like, a cowboy, but then the cowboys in the early days in the conquest of the West, where you get your land and then you defend your land, with a gun. Get off my land! And so all of a sudden, I discover within my consciousness a hunter, a cowboy, whatever you want to call it. And I was like, I'm going to, the hunter had a gun, of course, hunters have guns. And I thought, this man, he trespassed, and he came with his dogs, and he cursed, and he offended me. And so anyway, that was what I observed going on in that subconscious mind as I was peacefully walking my dog. And then I thought, stop. There was also still enough of a yogi in me to say, stop. So I said, ahimsa. And so I came home, and I sat down, before my altar, calmed my breath, and started, practicing ahimsa. And I sent the cowboy on a holiday, on a vacation, and the hunter along with him. Put them on a ship and said bye-bye. And so my thoughts calmed down, and I realized that I was having a choice, because it is I don't know enough about American society. I do know a lot about Italian society, and even Amsterdam, even Dutch society. Once you get into a row with your neighbors, peace is gone. Okay. So if you want to practice the presence of peace, the light of peace, and the light shineth, that peace is there, well, then you have to do something about it. And so I started praying, and basically after, maybe half an hour, it wasn't a deep thing. I mean, the hunter and the cowboy weren't like, taking over or something, but I just noted their presence in my mind, and I realized the danger of letting them dominate my consciousness, because then, our peace would be gone. People here do bad things once they don't like you. They put out poison for your dog. Bad things can happen. So at that moment, I had calmed down, and then I heard a klaxon, a horn outside. So I went outside, and there was our hunter, and he came out of his car, and he had taken a shower and shaved, and was neatly dressed, smartly dressed. And he came to me, and he was peaceful, and he showed me a picture on his cell phone of where my dog had bitten his dog, saying, these hunting dogs are very precious, very costly, because those are special dogs and they need to be trained. And so, he said, do you have an insurance? But then he stopped, and he stopped, every threatening. There was enough ahimsa in me to shortcut the potential conflict. So he became calm and said, no, please don't worry. You don't need to worry. And so basically, we introduced ourselves. And he's a neighbor, but in this area, neighbor means that he lives at a few miles distance, but still, when you're still neighbors. And so we introduced ourselves, and we cordially greeted each other, and that the incident was closed. But then I still wanted to choose to live in the light of peace. And so I realized we had to contain our dog as well, so I put energy into making a fence, and so that when we were not at home, the dog could be in there. And I consciously send out vibrations of peace. And so it's just, for me at least, this was a very powerful example. I just realized, you can have so much. The subconscious mind can lead you to conflict. The hunter and the cowboy within my subconscious mind could have, taken me into the direction of conflict. But staying in the light, choosing to be in the light of peace, you gain so much. So many things become possible. And what I especially noted, for myself at least, was that it sort of freed my consciousness to focus on many other beautiful things, like creative projects. I mean, it wasn't that important, this incident, but I did notice the importance that when you practice peace in your dealings with your neighbors, with your friends, especially also when you live together in the same house, I mean, then every day brings innumerous opportunities to practice the light of peace, to choose peace, to practice ahimsa. So that's just one example. The same would be the light of love. Love is always a choice. Or the light of hope. We did a campaign a few months ago as with our European Sangha, which we had named the Light of Hope. And for me, the teachings, it was also the title of a book by Swami, Hope for a Better World. And for me, hope it's not like dreaming, oh, let's hope it goes better next time. Hope just means that we have a body of teachings, and Master says, even if you practice a little tiny percentage of those teachings, you will find God. And God means the end, the funeral of all your sorrows, all your pain, all conflict, just endless peace, endless joy. And so you can practice that. You can say, okay, I have depression, or I have anxiety, or I have ill health, or I have conflict with this or that person. And now I can take a little aspect of these teachings and seize the opportunity of this challenge to practice it. In the Gita comment, Krishna says, I am the manliness of man. So what this means to me, of course, it is poetry, it is scripture, it's always open. And it means this, and it means also that, and it means also that. What it means in this case, it reminded me of a satsang that we had only a few days ago, on January 6th, the day of the Epiphany, with Jyotishan Devi. It was a satsang with the European Sangha, all Kriya Bands, and with our community. And of course, when you're in the beginning of the new year, people worry about their new year resolutions. And the classical thing is, I'm going to cut down chocolate. And so on January 1st, you don't eat chocolate. On January 2nd, just a little piece. And by the time you reach January 6th, you're just eating as much chocolate as you ate before. Isn't that so? It's a little bit like that. In any case, that is what many people complain about. So they said their counsel was, and they spent the whole satsang on that, is what Master says about the power of the mind. He says there's nothing that can beat the power of the mind once it has been developed to its fullest potential. So what we need, if we want to choose to live in the light and not to be continuously conditioned by inner hunters, cowboys, phantoms, whatever. What we need then is a powerful mind. So instead of, and also we need to know that that power is potentially ours. So what we need to affirm is not so much a possible temporary setback or failure of maintaining a resolution, for example, or you have failed to practice ahimsa, or you have failed to to meditate longer, or whatever it be. But you affirm instead this: I haven't fully explored and applied the power of my mind yet. But that's what I'm working on. I'm not so much working on having ahimsa or training, being peaceful in the company of others. I'm working on training the power of my mind so that I become every day a little bit freer in my choice to live in the light. And so that makes a tremendous difference. If we just say, okay, I'm growing every day a little bit. Maybe it seems that for a month I'm not growing at all. But even when you feel that you're not growing, always affirm the potential of my mind, the potential power of my mind is always there. It is waiting to be explored and to be developed. And then finally, and I'll end with that, Krishna says, in people who, in self-offering, people who manage to offer themselves to God, I am their self-offering. Now, this to me refers also to Kriya Yoga, because on a deeper level, each Kriya, and I apologize if there are people who haven't had the Kriya initiation, but maybe this will give them enthusiasm to explore the possibility to prepare for Kriya initiation. In any case, when we practice the highest science and art and the sacred technique of Kriya Yoga, what we really do with each Kriya breath, we try to offer ourselves up to the Divine Mother here at the point between the eyebrows. Now, so if we practice Kriya regularly, then grace starts operating in our lives. And even when we go through a difficult period, karmic period, that grace will be there. We will then probably call it saving grace. But it's there and it changes us. So the other side of making the effort or focusing on the power of the mind is that we can't do anything at all apart from offering ourselves up to God, to Divine Mother. And even that we don't do that, because Krishna says, that's me. So when Swami Kriyananda, as a very young man, went through a process of transformation, he was developing devotion, and he did his best, of course, and he became much more devotional, much more his heart started to heart-oriented, spirit-oriented. And so he was so happy. He said, oh, my efforts have led to this, and I'm so much happier now. And then Master looked at him and said, look how I have changed, Walter. So it gave it a completely different format. What we need to do is trust that grace will change us. And just try to connect with grace every day, even when it seems impossible, just a little bit. Grace will change us. And then at the end, Master can say, see how I have changed Darshan, or Mark, or Maitri, or any one of us. And that makes us free within. And that makes us free to choose the light. Also, when we spend our lives serving and meditating together, especially then. So, wishing you in the new year the power, or the focus, that you can all focus on the potential power of the mind, and able to choose the light, to live in the light, and also to feel that grace is what changes us and what brings us final happiness and freedom. I hope it wasn't too long. Maitri said 20
No,
minutes.
it was beautiful, Darshan. Thank you so much. And we're going to open it in just a moment to Q&A for our Satsang. I want to invite our Facebook friends to come on through the Zoom link if you'd like to join in on the Satsang. That Zoom link is on our website. And otherwise, we'll say goodbye to our Facebook friends for now, and we'll then invite our friends in the Zoom to open up their cameras and to, feel free to ask any questions, say hi. You can also put your questions in the chat box, and we'll see. I want to say one thing from your talk, since I've got the mic at the moment. I felt really guided in the new year to work a lot more with the affirmations book, Affirmations for Self-Healing, as a way to, really harness that power of the mind. And I remember when I got this book, it had been published. It was a gift from to the community from Swamiji. The first year I went to the village at Christmas, which was, of course, a life-changing experience. And I still have the original copy. This is not it. But I remember that Leela Hogendijk was the one that she said, because I was just a guest, I just come as a guest, because I want you to have this for Christmas. This is a gift from Swamiji to the community, and for you to have it. And it's a really special book. I want to encourage people to get a copy and work with it. We work with it, of course, on Sundays, but my goal is to try to incorporate it more every day, and also to invite the community to join in that. I'm using it in our yoga classes, and I'm hoping to do other things to encourage that. But anyway, that's just the one thing I wanted to share.
Thank you. So I'm here. I'd love to hear, whether it's question or just sharing. I'd love to hear from you. It's so good. I know I saw Linda, I saw Eric, I saw Vivek. we need to connect Vivek, of course.
So
Sonia, good
Supriya
to see you,
mentioned in the
Mallory, Supriya, of course. We
Supriya
already
mentioned
exchanged.
in the chat about the video that we showed. I don't know if you were on
Siva.
then. And we showed the video of the Russian group singing that one song, and I wanted to know what you know about that song, and because our understanding is that it was written by a devotee in Assisi, and and so I wanted to just hear more from you about that song, and I wanted to share people that we did post it on our WhatsApp, and it is also on our Facebook page, and so you could see it there for sure. Anyway,
Yeah, and the Russians, of course, translated into Russian, right?
yes.
So, yeah, it was so touching. They did it like a Zoom. Well, you will see it.
Yeah,
And you
we
can
showed it
just,
already. Yeah.
yeah, a
Do you
lot
know
of
what
love.
the words are exactly? There's been some,
I
discussion
can
around.
I can find them and send them to you via WhatsApp, and you can post them.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Thank you
Yeah,
so
yeah,
much.
yeah. So yeah, there is a young lady from the UK, and she was with us for quite a few years. She left Ananda Sisi a few months ago to explore living in the UK again, back to England. She was from England, and she's active there now, also for Ananda UK. And her name is Parvati, and she has no particular musical training, at least not that I know of, but very intuitive person, very, very sensitive. And one day it just came to her.
Yep.
This song just came to her.
No, I didn't.
And so it was, it touched many people. It has touched many people. Jyotish and Devi were here, they loved it. And so it's beginning to lead its own life now. It's like books or music. Maybe they stay put for a while and then they start traveling again. And so, yeah, I guess I too was deeply touched. And, I don't know, Ananda in Texas, I know you've always been very music oriented. Many of you are musical,
Too far.
and you could easily make a similar recording, if not of this song, of anything else. There's so much music going around. And I think for Ananda Russia, this created a lot of magnetism. Basically, they had invited me to give a satsang, and then it goes in a different rhythm because I say something in English and then Mila translates it into Russian. So it goes more slowly, but there is a lot happening. Russia is the biggest country in the world. It's a complicated society, complicated history, but Ananda is pretty strong, and there is community building also. There is community building going on, and so this was one way. And of course, it's never easy for people to work together and create harmony. But as you can see, they make every effort they can to do that. So, and that's what you can see, and that's what we could all feel. Shivani was crying when she heard it. So, yeah, when she heard and saw it, because you need to see it.
I posted the YouTube link in the chat for anybody who missed it or wants to see it again. It's there.
Yeah, and for those of you that are on the Ananda, Texas WhatsApp, it is on there as well. And this is a chance to say, if you're not on that WhatsApp, that's our little community social media, so to speak. It's not really social media in that sense, but you're welcome to join that. Just get in touch with me or put it in the chat box, and I'll make sure that you can get added on. We always put lots of inspirational things and healing prayers on our community chat. So
Yeah. So yeah, it's like in the Ananda worldwide, there are a few songs that were not composed by Master or by Swami, and that are much loved, like The other two that I can think of would be Oh Master, and the other one would be Keep Calling Him. And so maybe this one will be the third. And I'm sure there will be more in the future of people who attune themselves more or less consciously and receive inspiration and manage to write something, to compose something. Yeah.
I just want to say, Darshan, I really appreciated your story about the dogs. Because, that's a story where you can see, how you could feel very self-righteous about the whole thing. It's like, well, you were trespassing on my land and my dog was trying to protect, yada, 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 yada. And you can just go on and on. And I appreciated what you said about not going there, that regardless, I think self-righteousness is probably one of the major obstacles to self-realization. So anyway, I appreciated the story very much.
Thank you. Yeah, there was this joke in one of Swami's books. It's also taking things personal that is an obstacle. And so there's a husband who says to his wife, the problem with women is that they take everything so personal. And his wife says, I don't. So anyway.
You're not talking about me.
No. No, I'm just adding that, self-righteousness, and also self-righteousness is more like there's an aggression there. But even on a less aggressive level, taking things personal is also very hard. We all do that, We have our weak spots, and don't you touch them, because then So it's something, it just means there's so much that we can work on, and there's joy in that.
I just want to add, I also fully enjoyed the story, and I think probably every one of us online can relate, whether it's been a dog and a hunter or a cowboy, or whether it's been a neighbor doing something else, or someone in our own family, or someone in a grocery store. I mean, all of that is part of our daily life, and how blessed we are. So thank you for sharing that, how you dealt with it. And as a disciple and a good example, thank you for doing that. And I believe what we all just said, or you all just said, about taking it personally, that could be an entire workshop, weekend, retreat discussion, how not to take things personally. And that doesn't mean we get cold or cool even about things, but that we turn to the light. I mean, I love that you just said that, and I'm still learning how to do that. I heard my teachers say that in 1993 and 94 about, what do you mean don't take it personally? What do you mean? I'm here on earth. And people are saying this and acting. So I remember that mental response. I didn't say that to my teachers of meditation, but I thought it. And now in the cold light of day, I still get to practice it.
Yeah, so do I. I think we all do, but knowing it and then working on it, there is a joy in that, because then you're no longer alone. Then the universe helps. You get it. You're not alone when you do that. So I think there's a question on the chat. It says, Darshan, the 8 aspects of God sound so vast that it seems hard to conceptualize them. What's a good way to meditate on them? I don't think we need to conceptualize them. I think we need to practice them. So, just observe yourself in your daily life, not just in your meditation. You can say, what can help is, for example, with our Raja Yoga courses, maybe you do that too. We sometimes say, okay, I'll take 2 weeks or a month or so, and I'll focus on one yama or on one niyama, using my spiritual diary. And so, I do that sometimes. But you can do the same with the 8 aspects of God. For example, if you say, okay, for 1 month, I will focus on wisdom. Now, wisdom comes through introspection. So you have to be able to stop and observe yourself a little bit, take a little distance. And also, for example, what I find a tool towards wisdom would be, what do you want to teach me, Master or Divine Mother, through this particular challenge that you're hurling at me? I have now, I can be a little personal. It's impersonal in any case. When I share with you that, for example, sometimes we have layers in our consciousness. We can think that we have overcome reactivity, but maybe then something happened, and we see that old patterns come up again. So there were some changes in management of finances between the mother of my children and myself, and my children and themselves, and that triggered old patterns in my consciousness, and I'm working on it. So it sort of brought up a little bit of victim consciousness. So I'm doing introspection. So you take one aspect of God. You don't try to conceptualize it. You just try to apply it and integrate it and practice it in your daily life. And you do that for 2 weeks. And you ask yourself, what is wise? I even had a friend when I was at school. We're still friends, but he's not at all a yogi, at least not in the way as far as I can see. But I learned a lot from him. And I still remember that when he was challenged, he had a difficult family situation. He would, as young as he was, maybe 14 or 15 or 16, he would say, what is wise in this situation? What is wise? Well, so you practice wisdom, or calmness, how can maybe you want to do a little bit more Hong So, because the practice of Hong So induces calmness in your consciousness. And then observe and see if you can maintain your calmness when challenges come. So I don't think these 8 aspects of God are cosmic or vast. They are practical, and we can focus on one of them at the time, better not multitask, and then use our spiritual diary to put them into practice. So Vivek says, Darshan, will you continue how to transform? Okay, so first Vivek and then Sonia. Darshan, will you continue Omar Khayyam Ruwayat series in 2022? Yeah, I'd love to. I probably will. And if I do, I will let you know. Definitely. We can do free webinars. I'd love to do that because that is an aspect of Master's legacy that I think is much less explored than the Bhagavad Gita comments and the Bible commentaries. So Sonia says, how to work to transform old patterns. I think that's very difficult because old patterns are patterns. They're like grooves, okay? So we have to observe ourselves. We have to affirm mental strength, the power of the mind. We can use affirmations like Maitri just recommended. Those affirmations are extremely powerful. I use them a lot. I use those ones by Swami. I also use Master's affirmations from the classical booklet, Scientific Healing Affirmations. So you use affirmations a lot, and you try to focus not so much on those words themselves, but more on the consciousness behind them, the power behind them. You keep repeating them, and if you can, practice Kriya, because old patterns are also changed by the power of grace. And sometimes we can find ourselves all of a sudden free of some attachment that has been lingering and sort of binding us for decades, and all of a sudden it's gone. This may happen, and usually actually, this will happen. And it's the result of our daily practice of meditation, and especially Kriya Yoga. So don't worry if old patterns linger. It will go. If you try to connect with God every day, then Divine Mother will come and she will give you the power, and she will just remove it at some point. It's a constant, ongoing process. It's a work in progress. And in the process itself, there's already a lot of joy. At least that's my experience. But I think that's everyone's experience, because the universe starts giving you more energy when you work like that on yourself. So, and we support each other, of course, with that, Yeah, I'll let you all know when we continue with the Rubaiyat, of course. Yeah, this is the wonder of the blessing of online. I just need to find the right time so that it doesn't conflict with the time in Dallas or in America in general. There is also a devotee. His name is Sanjan. You may know him. He's British. He lived in the village and he was very involved for a period in Kriya Prep. And now he has moved back to the UK. He's trying to understand where his Dharma lies, whether he should stay in Europe and help building the work there in the UK, or move back to the village. We were talking because I knew that he had been doing things with Whispers from Eternity. So maybe we will together also do a few webinars on the Whispers from Eternity. Yeah. In addition to the Rubaiyat, of course. So I think it's time. Darshan, when are we going to have Lahiri days at Ananda and invite various delegates from each? Let me just and invite various delegates from each lineage to come and celebrate the King of Yogis from the 26th of September to the 30th. Well, Alex, if you organize it, I'll come. Okay. I of course, the best example for that I remember was when during the 50th anniversary of Ananda's existence, there were people from different religions. I don't know if you remember that, Maitri and Mark, you were there. There was a rabbi, there was a what do you call that? A Muslim, yeah, something like that, a mufti or something. There was a Protestant, there was a Buddhist, there was a Catholic priest, and it was very powerful. And they were from different religions, and there was a lot of humor and a lot of laughing, especially when the Jew said, "We are the chosen people." And everybody started laughing, and he started laughing, and then he put it into context, and he and the Muslim, they were like really good friends. You could see that, you could feel that. Yeah.
Let's see if anybody else would like to ask a question in person. We've got a few folks on camera here. Looks like Carolyn would like to ask one. She's unmuted herself, maybe. Now she's gone.
Can't find me, but I don't see the video. Anyway, I can't see me, but it doesn't matter. Darshan, I just appreciate so much what you've had to say. I am in a Zoom book club, a spiritual Zoom book club, and we've been studying the 4 agreements that are very, very close to all you're talking about. And I have a sister right now who's had a second cardiac arrest, and we're all trying to take care of her, and it brings up lots and lots of drama. And I have used one of the principles not to assume things. And sometimes I've just said it to myself over and over. Don't assume anything's wrong. Don't assume, when we're trying to set things up. And I've also used, don't take things personally. You're doing the best you can to help. And of course, asking God to help me. I ask him to fill me with light, and peace, and all of my family too. And I see it helping me for sure, and my sister too. One of my nieces, I just filled her with all of that this morning and surrounded her in love, and I hope things will be better for her too. So it's a different book, but it's kind of almost exactly the same principles. So I appreciate what you had to say. It's just so, for me, it's perfect.
Well, it sounds that you're doing the right thing, Carolyn. What came to mind is two things. One is that the ability to carry pain. We need the strength. If you live in the material world and you want to make a difference, you want to become a spiritual being, we need to develop the strength to carry pain. And we do that by considering pain as purification. So basically, Patanjali says it literally. He says, considering pain as purification and a few other things, this constitutes the practice of yoga. Mm-hmm. So just if there is pain and drama and difficult karma, we have to learn to accept it. And then within that acceptance, do our best. And it sounds like that is exactly what you're doing.
I'm really working hard.
Best wishes, and I will pray for your sister.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. We will all pray for your sister.
Everybody has been already. Thank you so much. It was just so helpful because it's just exactly what I'm working on. Thank you.
Well, thank you all. It's evening here now.
So one last chance here. Maybe we can put on the grid or whatever, and people can open their cameras. And really, if you do have a burning question, don't be shy now. I told Darshan that it was going to go past 12:30. So
okay, I'm here.
Anybody else want to say hi or make a comment?
Shiva unmuted.
Hey, Eric, good to see you.
Very good to see you, Darshan. I missed
Shiva.
the first part. Had some other engagement, so I want to see you. So nice talking to you.
Thank you.
Nice
Thank you for
hearing
being. Give my best to your family.
Yes, we'll do.
Blessings. I'll contact you about the holy science.
Oh, sure. Yeah, actually, we Maitri probably will send out about we are going to have a series here locally in about that holy science. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? We can do a countdown here.
Going once?
Going twice. Well, Darshan, I guess I'd like to end with just a thought. Is there any chance that we can get you back here for any time?
Well,
and what does that look like?
It would have to be, because it seems like Divine Mother really wants my main focus to be on the European Sangha. And our friendship with Ananda Dallas started when I was still focusing here on the school efforts and the school and education for life. And so since 2016, I've been focusing more on the European Sangha. But what I could feel, and maybe possibly would be in the context of a journey through, it's a dream. I have the dream of, being able with my partner to travel through the United States with a car, a rented car or something. And then it wouldn't be impossible for me not to come to Dallas. If I come to Dallas, then of course we can organize satsang and we can stay for a few days and be together and meditate together and celebrate. And so that would be, for now, that would be something that I could think of. But you never know. It's in Divine Mother's hands. I hope many of you will also come to visit us here in Europe. I mean, Ananda Sisi is definitely a pilgrimage, worth a pilgrimage. There is Swami's Moksha Kutir where he left his body. So I hope that will be a possibility too. And of course, my heart is with you all. It is with Ananda Dallas, with Ananda in Texas. And of course, I would love to come and see you again and, serve together and be together. Of course. Thank you.
Well, we always hold you in our hearts, and we'll make a deal with you. I'm always a deal maker. I work on that
Okay.
Vaishya level of we'll
Yeah.
come see you if you come see us.
Oh,
And
that's a deal.
we have had talks about, thinking about again this summer, and maybe you can think about that as well. Is that even a possibility for us to, give not, COVID aside, but just whatever of going on in Assisi, if we
Yeah,
did
well,
make
it seems like, astrologically speaking, if you follow Vedic astrology, it seems that after April, things might clear up a little bit. So in any case, that is something that we can have a ongoing exchange about and just explore those possibilities together.
yeah.
That's what I would say. I will,
And then-
of course, you're always welcome here, all of you. We just need to prepare and make it work for everyone. So,
And then in terms of your what did you say, dream of coming here, we're very capable of helping that dream be a reality. And we've sort of got a good groove that way for at least bringing you to America. So think about that. Although, again, being the bargaining person, it would have to be more than a couple days in Texas. I'm sorry. but we could help that. So we'll talk more about that too. So it's
Eric.
just always wonderful to have you. And anybody
Me
else
too.
want to say anything?
I'm
Otherwise,
going
we're
to say
good.
something to Eric. Part of the deal will also be that we're going to Mexico, right?
Oh, absolutely. We're going to Mexico. We'll sit out there on the beach and we'll set you up a little podium and you can,
Now you're dreaming.
no, you're going to relax in Mexico. And you know what? We don't have a big wall, not yet. So,
No walls.
Don't add that "not yet" part. We don't have a big wall,
There will
period.
never be a wall. The time of walls is finished.
yeah, I think you're right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Dear friends, thank you so much.